We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get 60 after Monday Night Raw?
Apparently Archie's on the screen. Oh my gosh, StreamYard. Somebody at StreamYard, please fix this. It was good for 2 years, and now suddenly this week, in the last 2 weeks, it's just gone awful, just like Arsenal's Champions League dream. But good evening from Swansea wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. We had a phenomenal episode of AEW Dynamite last night, but there were some negatives as well. We're going to get into all of that and more, but before we do, Archie, take it away.
Well, it's a beautiful, magnificent day. Arsenal got knocked out of the Champions League. They bottled it once again against PSG, and still the only club in London to win a European Cup. And what better way to celebrate than by talking about Dynamite, I say. And StreamYard kind of messed up my intro there, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'll tell you what a better way to celebrate it is. Watch Chelsea in the middle of absolutely nowhere win a tin pot trophy. But I can't say anything. At least it's
eighth European Cup final. Eighth European.
Oh, it doesn't count. It doesn't. That doesn't count.
Of course it does.
Doesn't count. It doesn't. It's a tin pot trophy. It does not count, right? That's like winning the 24/7 championship in wrestling.
Two-time Champions League winners. Two-time Champions League winners.
It's like winning the Evolve Championship, which has just been introduced, and saying it's like if John Cena won that and then claimed he's an 18-time world champion. It's not the same thing at all. But also joining us today, all the way from California, how are you, Clark?
I can't lie. I was stunned by the silent cold open by Archie. It was just a statement made. I've never seen that technique used in the history of broadcasting. So I'm pretty blown away here on this Thursday. I'm stoked to break down Dynamite. I don't have too many comments on the math as far as trophies are concerned when it comes to English footy or whatever you guys call it. But I am fired up to talk about some AEW Dynamite today. So let's get into it.
We do have a correction to make, Archie. You, in fact, were incorrect. You were wrong because West Ham have also won a European trophy.
All right, okay. We're the only club in London to win a Champions League trophy then.
What about East Ham?
Huh?
What about East Ham?
There's not such a thing.
Well, if it was such a thing, they'd probably be in a better competition than Chelsea are right now. Fernando wishes Archie was hosting.
3 points behind you, Ben. 3 points behind you. I thought Archie was hosting.
Oh, yeah. Numero 1 says, it's time to get the needles. It's time to get the chairs. It's time to watch Dynamite on TBS tonight. And Fernando says it's time to light the fuse and ignite
this Dynamite review. One of my favorite comments of all time. The best part, my favorite thing that Fernando does is the very first time he did it, I was like, that is awesome. I'd love to steal that phrase, but I feel like I can't do it. Do you mind just commenting that on every Thursday show? I don't think he's missed one since.
Yeah.
Fernando, seriously, putting in the work for fan of the year.
100%.
That's a tough competition, honestly.
Yeah. Well, all of our fans are award winning. I don't know if you know that. I gave them away last year, Wrestling Republic Best Fans. So every single one of our fans are award winners. You want to talk about trophies?
There was an easy one at your feet there, Archie. You could have said unlike Arsenal, but
I've got some.
He got his jabs in.
I've got some more in store. Don't you worry.
It better not be. Anyway, right. Thankfully, right. I woke up this morning all depressed, a bit tired after last night, but thankfully I did have AEW Dynamite to watch, and it opened in a fantastic way with a promo between Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page, of course, before their Owen Hart Cup final in a couple of weeks' time at Double or Nothing. Clark, you know me, I'm a big fan of both of these guys, and honestly, I was a big fan of this promo, but what did you think of it?
I dig it. I mean, Hangman Page, I've been ready for Ghost Town Triumph and the return of like Anxious Millennial Cowboy Hangman for a while. It doesn't look like what we're getting now in any way, but I don't mind it at all. And the idea of not being able to get through the promo with each other and whatnot, Don Callis plays a role in everything. I love Don Callis every time he's on TV. He's Paul Heyman gets a lot of love, but Don Callis does some great work, and he also looks like a human thumb. You just can't teach that look. He was born that way at this stage. So he's obviously pretty wormy when it comes to these type of things. I loved it. I'm excited about it. Will Ospreay and Hangman are two of my absolute favorites in AEW, and I do think two of the future. We talk about the pillars and the pillars and the pillars and the pillars. I think the pillars are ever changing. To me, these two, as of right now, I wouldn't say are the pillars. Obviously, Ospreay wasn't AEW homegrown, finger quotes, but I would say they're two of the most important pillars outside of that, cliche in the entire company. And so it was a fun way to open the show.
I will agree with that. And you mentioned Don Callis, and I do have to agree, Clark. He is so underrated. But there was one issue, just one little issue I had with this segment. And it was the fact that when Don Callis came out, it felt like only a couple of months ago because of injuries and everything. And, people leaving and all that the Don Callis family only had 2 people. In fact, I think it was only Takeshita at one point for a little short few weeks. But last night when he came out, I think I counted 7 people behind him to the point where I actually didn't know who one of them was.
It's a growing family. That was the only thing that I was kind of thrown by that too. It was like, whoa, reinforcements.
Yeah,
that was my exact reaction.
You can't have Thanksgiving dinner with Don Callis. We think you can't have Thanksgiving dinner with just 3 people. I'm guessing Takeshita and Fletcher as well. So gotta have some members. gotta have some guys to bring some cooking, to bring some food.
Need bodies.
Yeah.
When that scientific poll came out about the fact that people need to have bigger families and all of this, I think Don Callis maybe took it the wrong way and thought they meant the Don Callis family is what's needed to save the population.
Making phone calls. He's like, wait a minute.
We're saving the population. One member of the Don Callis family at the time. Fernando is very pumped for the match. Numero 1 says it was a great promo between Will and Adam. I can't wait to see this match. Absolutely. I mean, listen, there's very few matches where you're saying, if this isn't a 5-star match, it might just be a letdown. This might just be one of those matches. Archie, what's your thoughts on this promo?
Oh, I completely agree. I think it was an awesome way to start Dynamite. Hangman's promo was great, kind of not saying that he'll never forgive Swerve, but he regrets kind of what he did, which was really kind of nice character development, and kind of it made a lot of it tied up a lot of loose ends of his character. Maybe like going after Christopher Daniels and stuff like that. It kind of explained a lot of those actions. Ospreay came out, and I thought Ospreay cut the best promo of one of the best promos I've seen him cut in AEW. Honestly, like, he was on fire last night. Billy Goat was on fire last night on the microphone. I loved that he kind of said to Hangman to that well done for kind of overcoming your demons, but what you did was unexplainable, and what you did to my best friend Swerve as well. As they mentioned Swerve, and it kind of adds a bit of fire to that, and adds a bit of importance to what Hangman did to Swerve in this feud, because Ospreay and Swerve have got a good relationship. One thing I didn't like, and I've got to disagree, I just hated the Don Callis family inclusion. I don't feel like it was needed. Just have that promo battle between the two. Have Ospreay say that killer last line, and then just finish it there. Just play Ospreay's music and just finish the segment there. It didn't need the Don Callis family. I don't want to see Ospreay feuding with the Don Callis family more now. It's starting to become a bit of a vortex. It's starting to become, people call it, said the Judgment Day was a bit of a vortex. The Don Callis family sort of being a bit like that for Ospreay now, where it's taken up 5 months of his year already. And And he's not had as good of a year this year as he has last year so far. And I think a lot of that is because he's been stuck in the same rivalry with the Don Callis family. Just kind of, I know it's going to start moving on soon, but just start moving it on now, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like
I don't know what they have to do with it either, to be fair to your point. So I will have to agree with it.
I think the only benefit that they provided was Dawn with the sort of the warning about, like, I wouldn't say stuff like that to Hangman. You don't really know him. I liked the mind games there, but I also don't know how that necessarily plays a role down the road when it comes to the match. I liked that it added that layer because it sort of, and you mentioned the one-liner that likely could have and should have ended the promo from Ospreay. It added an extra layer, but it was also kind of like, but why? Like, could Hangman have added the same layer by saying, like, I wouldn't make suggestions like that?
Yeah, and
or something like that.
If it comes back to play a role in the match, then I'll come back and hold my hands up and say that I was kind of wrong, and fair enough. But I don't feel like it will do. I can't see any way it will do. I think Ospreay's.
Why would it?
Exactly, it shouldn't. I think Ospreay should and will probably win this. Go on to All In to face Moxley, and as my prediction said, will go on to win the title in Texas, most likely.
I could see Hangman though doing the same exact thing. That's what's interesting about this one, because in Texas, that crowd loves Hangman Page.
That's true, but I feel like Hangman and Swerve are gonna kind of reconcile and come together and take on the Young Bucks together. I feel like that's the direction I feel like it's headed.
I cannot wait to see the size of the belt buckle on Hangman if he does wrestle that.
He's got to come out with another.
I mean, that will be it'll look the size of the AEW World Title. Like, we thought it was in the briefcase. No, that's just a belt. It's not the title belt.
But I mean, I don't know. My issue with it is I don't think either of them are winning the title at All In. I don't. I think they're still waiting for Darby Allin to stop doing
riding
backflips on Mount Everest or whatever.
Here's the thing, right, with that. And like, I love Darby. I'm not one of his biggest fans, but look, he's obviously had a connection with the fans. He puts his body on the line for wrestling every single time he's in the ring. I think fans are going to start to resent him a bit and not start booing him, but I feel like they're going to. This is taking this big moment of Darby winning his first AEW World Title away. Them waiting for him to come back from Everest and doing that storyline. I feel like people won't care as much because it's like, oh yeah, we know Darby's going to come back and win this title. They know what the end goal is.
I don't know. Have you seen the stats? A lot of people die climbing Everest.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Very morbid.
Now, I'm wishing the best for Darby. I'm just saying he's a tough guy. But
Clark's just killing him
no guarantees. You're acting like it's a foregone conclusion.
Hey, he set the world record.
Some respect, man. That's a hard mountain to climb.
He set the world record for like the highest kickflip or whatever on a skateboard. So, respect to him for that.
I'm not being funny.
Equally as unsafe as climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah,
I actually think, I genuinely think, right, that he's turned heel already. Because at the end of the day, the company got invaded by these Death Riders, and he's left.
That's true.
Exactly.
I wouldn't cheer for him.
I think John Cena's jealous of John Moxley. He already took the title away. That's why Cena wants to leave with it. He's like, dude, this guy's a genius.
I said it weeks ago. The Cena story does have a genuine risk of, if it goes the wrong way, becoming a bit like the Death Rider story. They have to be a little bit careful to balance it.
It's getting dicey.
I think because of how beloved Cena is and how much interest fans have in Cena, I don't think it had that exact same effect. I know Moxley's been beloved in AEW, but for me, the reason why he's not got that level of love and respect from fans that Cena does, which doesn't makes fans kind of not be as patient with him.
I thought we hated him now, though.
What was? Oh yeah, we hate Cena. Sorry, we hate Cena. We absolutely hate Cena.
I thought we hated him.
Awful guy. Awful. Fernando says, I think Will Ospreay is totally winning the championship at All In. I do hope, by the way. I do hope you guys are right. I really, really do. That is what they should do. I just think that he's going to hold it until All Out.
look, here's the thing, right? One more thing before we move on to the next topic. He's the poster boy for Forbidden Door at the O2.
He was the poster boy for All In last year, and he wasn't champion.
No, but not like he's the sole guy on that poster, Ben. There's not
And
many
he was
times
last
AEW
year.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah,
No, he wasn't. Not for no, he wasn't. He was. Many people were on the solo poster.
Well, sorry, many people were on it, but he was like the focal point.
Yeah, but on like the actual ticket for the ticket master, he's the only guy on that poster. He's the only guy that's being presented heavily for that show.
Yeah, but don't you just download the tickets and put them in your Apple Wallet?
And it's only an arena too.
Oh, come on, it's a pretty big arena. It's one
It's a baseball stadium. It's not an arena. It's a baseball stadium. It's still a stadium. It's a baseball stadium.
It's
what about
it's their third largest gate.
Oh, that's different. I thought you said All In. Whoop.
No. Forbidden Door. It's their third largest gate, and I just can't see Ospreay not walking into that without the title. And if he doesn't, what did he do? Yeah, he'll walk in. I can't see him walking into it without the title.
Maybe he'll flip.
He could flip in.
Yeah.
Run in. You could drive a car in.
Will Ospreay versus Darby Allin.
No guarantee he walks.
Darby's going to be like Cena at ECW One Night Stand.
Does cartwheels into the arena.
If Vince Russo was booking this, he'd have Darby Allin return by coming in like on a zip line from the top of like one of the stadiums.
He
whatever.
Zip lined all the way.
All the way
Everest into the arena.
Yeah.
They show like a super digitalized video of him going down the mountain. Then he
no, you need to make it more realistic than this. Where Texas is Texas quite flat?
I mean, yeah, by comparison, the Rocky Mountains are north.
Well, claim that he's come via Mount Everest, via the Rocky Mountains, by abseil, and have him abseil into the stadium.
Now we're talking.
Sorted.
Honestly, I think they should just make the ramp just a big half pipe, and he kick flips into the ring.
All the way from Mount Everest. They won't do that. They'll pretend he never climbed Mount Everest and that he was out with injury from going down the stairs for all these months. But moving on, let's go into something, and then something is a rant. Because you guys know me. I am a big fan of Tony Storm, Anna Jay, Penelope Ford, and Thunder Rosa. Huge fan of all of them. So on paper, I should have loved this match. But this match I genuinely despised. And the reason for that isn't even any of the four people involved. They all did a great job wrestling. The issue is, and I've had the same issue for quite some time, but the fact that anything can happen in a four-way. So why doesn't stuff like this happen in every four-way where there's constant run-ins? The match is basically a fatal 40-way. I mean, it was just absolute chaotic.
That's good.
And then to make matters worse, right, it was a title eliminator match. And you guys know how much I hate those. Mm-hmm. Why on earth wasn't this just a title match? Why doesn't Tony Storm go, oh, I'm a defending champion and I will defend against all of these ladies? Because the only time an eliminator match makes any sense is if the champion is losing. Even then, I hate it. But at least then you can make an argument as to why it is happening. And you can say, well, you know, at least it advanced the story. This just sucked, Clark. I mean, I'm sure you'll find a way to make this look better. So go ahead.
To be completely honest, I actually kind of agree. It was a little too hectic. I think it could have been a lot better match than it was. But I mean, shout out Bob Backlund. Crossface chicken wing? Come on. We don't get that very often. Monster shout out. Huge throwback. Backlund, former WWE champ. Also one of the most absurd WWE title matches of all time. Diesel and Bob Backlund. Check that out at your own risk if you have not seen that one. But I will say, I still love Tony Storm, but I also agree with you on title eliminators. So I really don't have much to defend this, Ben. I was trying to come up with stuff while you were talking, and I've really thought about it, and this was not it at all. It wasn't what we wanted. It was a good effort. There was a lot of stars involved, and I love Tony Storm, so the result doesn't get me hung up. But yeah, definitely not the most entertaining Fatal 4-Way that I've seen of late.
And there's even more issues we haven't covered because Numero One Superfly says here the four-way had several issues. Firstly, what is Nyla doing? And of course, the constant run-ins, especially with Harley Cameron hitting the safest pull shot to Megan, possibly on par with Nya's chair shot. It's not that quite bad, but
No,
it's
not that bad. Yeah,
It would look a little bit like a Harry Potter spell. Spelliamos.
Can I say? I don't actually think the problem is just with the four-way itself. I think it's the problem with AEW's women's main event scene in general. I think they're booking hang on. They're booking the women's they're booking the women's division a lot better in terms of when it comes to Mercedes Moné. When it comes to the main event scene, it seems like they just need some added injection into it. And I mean, Mariah May's just sitting at home. And
I disagree. I think
everybody in the world thought that Mariah May and Toni Storm should have main evented in LA at that pay-per-view. That was one of the best stories AEW's told in the women's division. That was how recent do you need it to be? That was like a couple months back.
Yeah, no, true, but you don't. But here's the thing: is that we're kind of in the position now where we kind of need Mariah May back, and there's been rumors whether she's staying or going. We don't have the choice. I mean. Well, she's an Arsenal fan, isn't she?
Yeah, she is an Arsenal fan.
So then it makes sense if she stays for second place, doesn't it?
Right. Anyway, okay. Right. Yeah. In all seriousness, here, the reason they are clearly waiting is because they got 2 weeks, and there's going to be a massive program, probably the biggest program in the history of this women's division, presumably between. Well, we'll get into it next, but the winner of Monet and Hayter, right? So they're just killing time for 2 weeks, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, but there's plenty of time. It's Tony's not even on the Double or Nothing card. Give her a match to do. Give her a rivalry. Is kind of we had this same problem when it was with Mariah May's world title reign. She was on pay-per-views having segments rather than defending her titles. They need to kind of.
I agree on that.
They need to book it a bit more. With some more legitimacy, I think, when it comes to the world title scene, because they're kind of flip-flopping when it comes to that, especially this year.
But we all knew that May and Storm collision course was the move, and that's what we got.
Yeah.
I will say, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, we also talk about, why do they do random 25-minute title matches? We didn't want that either. They built that rivalry.
Yeah, but just build I see what you're saying, Archie, but they should have probably just done, to be honest, do you know what they should have just done? Had somebody win this title eliminator match who wasn't Toni Storm, then do that at the pay-per-view.
Then somebody else.
Exactly. But I just feel like
simple solution.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying Mariah May and Toni Storm should run it back this soon. I feel like Mariah May should be involved in some way, and that would add some injection, and you can kind of lead her. That can lead into a match for All In, because I don't know why she's being left off TV for so long. She needs to be involved
at All In. It's
in some
Tony versus the winner of the next segment, which we'll get into in just a second. But before we do, we need to talk to you guys about Etsy. Now, and I didn't even think about this until you did yesterday, Clark. But of course, we can do this. It's amazing.
Yes.
Etsy. I'm on it again.
Go ahead. Download the Etsy app. It's on the App Store and the Google Play Store. Head over to upcoming streams. We got all kinds of great stuff Saturday, previewing Backlash and sort of a hangout. You can jump in as long as you got a phone with a microphone. You don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want, but you're more than welcome to. Check it out. It's me, Big Ant, you. We'll have Camp Takes will be there, and then We the Ones as well. You can jump on, argue with us, chat it up. We'll be doing our predictions on the first half of it, and then the second half just sort of hanging out, talking about the card, leading us into Backlash. So it's going to be a really good time on Saturday. And the best part is the app is absolutely free. Go ahead and go download that one, ITSY, the Etsy app. Check it out.
And it's the only place where you guys can find out Clark's predictions for the show as well. He's not on the prediction show on Friday, but he will be there. So you guys can say if you agree, disagree, all of that good stuff. But talking about good stuff, Hayter, last night, Jamie Hayter sat down for an interview with Renee Paquette. Quite a good promo segment. It was kind of what you expected. It did feel very acted. Like you kind of could very much tell that Jamie Hayter was acting. It didn't feel very natural. But even with that being said, I really enjoyed it. But then they brawled. Mercedes Moné came in. They had a bit of a brawl. It went all the way through the arena onto the stage. And this was a really good way to build heat. And I'm going to be honest, Archie, right? In the past, I don't think AEW have done a fantastic job when it comes to building up tournament finals, really. This time, they did it great in the opening segment for Ospreay Hangman. But in this one, they did the same for Hayter Moné. What were your thoughts?
I completely agree. I thought it was... This made me chuckle when you said, because when I was watching the Jamie Hayter segment, I kind of thought, this was a good promo. As you were talking, you kind of said, it sounded a bit acted, and I kind of like a light bulb switched in my head, and kind of thought that you're probably quite right. Because I felt like something was missing from that promo. I thought there was some good content within it. She wasn't delivering it as or great. She wasn't delivering it too great, but there was some good content in it. But then there was also some confusing content. Like I like the part where she kind of said she doesn't want to be the next Mercedes Moné, and she wasn't kind of going down to Mercedes level. And Mercedes was saying, she reminds me of a younger me or something like that. Because one, Jamie Hayter is nothing like Mercedes Moné, and two, it's kind of a bit like Lyra and Becky, where Lyra's standing up for herself, and Jamie Hayter's doing the same here. The brawl was really fun. I haven't really seen AEW do too many of these kind of things where production-wise, where it kind of leaks into the arena. So yeah, that part was really fun. And then obviously, what I loved as well is Jamie Hayter when she was lining up the clothesline. It looked like it would have been very vicious if Mercedes got hit by that. And then obviously Mercedes came back. It was a bit like a copy and paste of the Lyra and Becky segment, which I'm not gonna say they obviously copied it, but it was like very similar to that. But this match, I'm really looking forward to it. My biggest worry when it comes to this, and it's been built really well, I really like the finals for it. Jamie Hayter and Moné are going to have a great match. My only worry is that Mercedes Moné is going to win this, because it's taken us a while to get back to that position where Jamie Hayter is now being booked as a top girl in the division again. And if Mercedes beats her, I don't know where she goes from here. And it's really kind of that would be really worrying if Mercedes won, because I feel like Mercedes can go on and do her own thing at All In, maybe face Athena again. But Jamie Hayter, it's taken a while to get her back to this stage since she's returned. And she's one of the best wrestlers. She's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, like on her day. And people forget that. And I can't wait.
No, you're bang on.
Yeah, I can't wait for when she reminds people that I Double or Nothing. I'm just worried that if Mercedes does win, it kind of buries Jamie Hayter a bit in AEW, and I don't know what she does there.
I wouldn't say that. You just need to make sure you have a plan for her following it, right? Because at the end of the day, Mercedes Moné seems unbeatable in AEW, and she's going to be going into a program, if she does win, with the AEW Women's Champion, the biggest feud in AEW history, I'd actually argue at that point. So I think she'd be okay, but to your point, they need to have a plan for her. Otherwise, well, she might not be. Fernando says this was an excellent segment with Mercedes and Jamie Hayter. BJ Dixon says, what's up, everybody? What's up to you as well? Hope you are having a great day. And number one Superfly says, Wrestling Trope 101, never turn your back on heels after they run away, because they
We've seen it twice over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, they will come running right back on you for a sneak attack. Yeah, I agreed. And I will say this, though, to argue with your point, Archie, for a second.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a copy and paste of Lyra and Becky. I just think you could say that about any segment like this.
Oh, no. I'm not saying they like copied it, but I'm just saying like it was very similar in that the kind of younger talent is obviously, about to get the upper hand on the experienced veteran, and then the kind of, it's the same kind of, and coincidentally they're both horsewomen as well, but but
we're gonna get into the Mercedes and Becky debate again, aren't we?
The most famous unofficial group in wrestling history.
Lord Mercedes. I was gonna say Mercedes couldn't come up with a good comeback, so she was acting unbothered on Twitter. But...
I don't know. I'm still sipping haterade. I think she did great.
Lord Virus of Nurgle says Clark, Archie, and Ben. Shout out to you, Lord Virus of Nurgle, over on Instagram. Also, Tan Mei Koshar is saying, can you say my name? Shout out to you as well. Thank you for watching. Fernando says Jamie Adrian is good enough to bounce back from a loss to Mercedes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think it's on her at all though. It's about how they're booked, and we've seen it a lot with where wrestlers have had a big program for the AEW world title, and then they've just kind of gone off into obscurity. Cough, cough, Deanna Prasso. So. So
honestly, you can name half the division in this happened.
What happened to her matching Tattoo?
Yeah, no, exactly. But I looked at the I looked at the complete roster page of the women's division in AEW. It is stacked, half of the women aren't even being showcased on there, not even with a video package or anything. Which is it's just so that's the thing. That's what concerns me is that. When you're talking about WWE, they've got 1,000 titles, so there's a different direction that you can always go in. But with AEW, they've only got a certain amount of TV time, only a certain amount of.
I think they have more titles per division, don't they?
For the women's division.
Oh, for the women's division, sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's sorry. No, they don't. Of course, they do different brands. Ignore me.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Hayter can go and try and face the Death Riders if she wants to. I'm sure she'd mess them up. So.
At this point. But up next, let's talk about the Men's World Championship. You mentioned the Death Riders. Jon Moxley, the AEW champion. Is it in his briefcase or is it something else? Who knows? But will we find out next week? Because it's Samoa Joe and Jon Moxley in a steel cage for the first time, because we know escaping isn't possible in AEW steel cage matches. There will be, or seemingly will not, there will seemingly not be any Death Riders involvement, leading to the question, Archie, could this genuinely be the time Samoa Joe defeats Jon Moxley and wins back the AEW championship?
No, I don't think Samoa Joe's beating Jon. I don't think Samoa Joe's got any chance. It's a 0 point. Actually, no, a 1% chance, because there's always a chance in wrestling, but depending on injuries and whatever. But it's a very, very slim chance Samoa Joe beats Jon Moxley, and I wish I could say different. I mean, Will Ospreay versus Samoa Joe intrigues me a lot more than Will Ospreay versus Jon Moxley at All In. And I mean, Samoa Joe once again is carrying the main event scene on his back now in AEW. But no, I don't think Samoa Joe is beating Jon Moxley. I think this is rightfully a kind of pit stop feud for Jon Moxley until we get to All In, or until we're getting closer to All In. And if I'm honest, I haven't been too interested in it. Of course, I love seeing Joe all the time because he's awesome. But I haven't been too interested in it, and I think it's maybe because that it's kind of predictable for me now. It's like I get that you can you can't always rely on it on predictability, because you can make things interesting even when they are predictable. But I just feel like I'd not really have much interest in this. I'd not really have much interest in the ops in terms of Jon, in terms of against in the main event scene. And maybe it's because it's predictable to me, and maybe it's because I don't have any feeling that Samoa Joe can win. But I don't think Joe's going to win. But unfortunately, I don't really have too much interest in this match at all. I know Jon Moxley's going to do some obscure thing that's going to hurt him again for some weird reason, but that's about it.
There's going to be a lot of blood, that is for sure, Archie.
Yeah,
BJ
and you know how I hate blood.
Oh, yeah. BJ says, I've got my guy Samoa Joe winning next week. Oh, okay. So that's interesting. I want to see some AEW Women's Tag Team Championships.
Yes.
I've been advocating for them for quite some time. Fernando says it's going to be violent. It's going to be highly entertaining, but Moxley is totally winning. And there was another comment here, numero one Superfly. And I think he's right. Samoa Joe is not winning next week. I'm expecting some sort of nonsense from the Death Riders and EVPs. And he mentions about the lights going out. Yeah, I think you're right there. That's why they spoke to the EVPs, wasn't it? So they can turn the lights out. And
yes, I tell you, I tell you, who's going to get involved. I know who's going to get involved.
Who?
He's going to get hit with a psycho knee. Somebody in a hoodie takes off the hoodie. None other than the scapegoat, Jack Perry.
Oh,
He's returned.
you might be
The
right.
prodigal
though.
son will be returned.
No, but I don't even think you're
Come here,
wrong.
River.
Jack Perry.
Come here, River.
Oh.
He's back.
Clark, what were your thoughts on the main event match between Samoa Joe and Claudio? But also, can we see a title change next week?
I'm so glad you started with that so I can be positive. I forget how good Claudio Castagnoli is until he wrestles every time. And then I'm like, dang it, what in the world? How do we always miss and forget how good Claudio actually is? Samoa Joe, excellent. I really enjoyed the match. As for the next part, yeah, no, I would love to see, I live on the West Coast. I'd love to see Samoa Joe win the title and beat Moxley in a cage match. But there is absolutely no chance in the world he wins this match. No way. 0.0%. It's the 100-to-1 horse in the Kentucky Derby. Like, there's no way. I don't know who it is that shows up. Jack Perry makes a lot of logical sense, but there will be shenanigans. That's why they didn't put a roof on the cage. Make sure absolutely no one can get in. And we've even seen people get around that type of a thing before. Samoa Joe will put on a very solid match. He and John Moxley will be violent. They'll paint the ring red. And then by the end of it, 1, 2, 3 on his back, or he'll be choked out or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what the finish looks like, but the finish looks like John Moxley gets his hand raised and they dip out of there with the briefcase.
Yeah, I think you've got it bang on, Clark. It's going to be something silly. It's going to be something stupid.
Yeah.
But that's what this storyline is. And it's building up to whoever finally does this and beats him is going to become a star. I do agree with that part. But it's, who is it and when is it? Could it be Samoa Joe next week? We seem to unanimously agree here. It will not be. There is a comment, though, from Ewan who says, what is the best way to watch the cage match? For example, streaming services. So there's two possible ways. One way, and this is for the UK. One way is Fight TV, where you can watch it live, but that's a subscription service. I think it's £5 a month, if I'm correct.
It's like £7 a month now, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, £7 something a month.
Yeah.
Or you could wait until Friday and it airs for free on ITV. As for America, it's on HBO Max and also on TBS. That's the one, live. Oh, as for any other countries, I don't know. Those may vary.
Here's something I thought about. What if it's a swerve, and what if the title in the briefcase is actually the real world title?
For flip's sake.
And
Numo One says they could pull a Vince Russo and cut the lights to shock everyone that Vince McMahon is going to screw. Oh, no, Numo One. You should have at least said Shane McMahon again. Oh, gosh.
Shane McMahon. Yeah, Shane McMahon. What's going on there? They're meeting up in airports and all sorts. What's going on?
It was like over a year ago.
Yeah, but Numo One always predicts Shane McMahon. That's the thing.
Shane McMahon.
Really? I didn't even
one day he'll be right.
We did see him.
He went Vince this time, so he went really off the rail.
BJ Dixon says
hands at this stage.
BJ Dixon says, do you guys think that MJF will join the Hurt Syndicate, or do you think Cedric will pop up next week? 1000% Cedric in my eyes.
Cedric.
I said it
Cedric.
earlier, though. I think it'd be really cool if Cedric's the bargaining chip for your MVP. He's the one that somehow called
Again,
Cedric.
He cannot do that.
Why not?
Do it.
Why not?
Because it's awful. Like, why on earth would he not join without MJF?
No, it's not that. MJF made him an offer he can't refuse. Have you seen The Godfather? People do stuff.
But they're friends. He's friends with the Hurt Syndicate, though. So
right, and there are people that went against their friends in The Godfather. Watch the movie, Archie.
Yeah, but why wouldn't Cedric go to?
Because he made him an offer he can't refuse.
What
Watch
is
the movie.
This offer?
What is this
one
offer?
in which he cannot refuse.
It's the Godfather one that's like 3 hours.
It sounds
long,
like Vince Russo.
Yes, watch all 3 hours and then get back to me.
Okay, it may be like sitting through
it's really slow though.
2018 Raw.
First hour 40 stuff. Then it heats
Yeah,
up.
I got like 20 minutes in and I got a bit bored, but I will get back.
Did you get to the horse head scene? That's my favorite
No,
part.
I
Speaking
didn't.
of blood.
Oh, I have not. I got
I
to a
will- I
part
will
when
not
they were
like-
in like a room.
It's prize speed.
Like it was during some wedding or something. They were in a room and like one of the guys came in to ask him
It's
if he
the
could
day
like
of his
help him
daughter's
out.
wedding.
Yeah.
The Don is not allowed to refuse a request on the day of his daughter's wedding.
The only
That makes
That's
a lot more
key.
sense now.
No, the movie's like, yeah, the movie's
now Ben's gonna
very
go back and
logical.
watch it.
I'll have to go and see it for
the
sure.
only gangster series or film I like is The Sopranos.
Oh wait, BJ, yeah, we
Oh,
read
right.
it. We read this one. Do you guys think that MJF will join the Hurt Syndicate?
Yeah,
That's what we were just saying.
yeah, that's what we were talking about. That's how it went into The Godfather.
It turned
For
into
some
The
reason.
Godfather. That's on me.
For some
But-
reason, I
Great
don't
film.
know.
Don't watch 3.
But, okay. Yeah, I do think we'll see Cedric pop up next week. That is definitely what's going to happen. Although they
Yeah.
have dragged this on too. Like, I'm not being funny. The first couple of weeks, it was funny when Bobby Lashley was saying, "I'll tell you next week." I think we've got 5 weeks of that now.
I disagree. I think they're getting towards that kind of that line now where they're finishing it perfectly. I think they're finishing it perfectly. I don't think it hasn't gotten old for me throughout the weeks. It's stayed consistently entertaining, and now it's
I've
finishing.
known, I've
right at
known
the
they're
right
going to
time.
say next week for like the last like 3-4 weeks now.
What if they say this week?
No,
week?
Bobby's gonna put 3 thumbs up. They're all gonna put. No, Bobby's gonna
How
put
does he have
thumbs
3
up.
thumbs?
Yes. All right. I made a mistake.
Dude, what kind of anatomy are you studying over there?
Is this the offer that they couldn't refuse?
Putting
for
all 3 of his
MJF?
thumbs up.
But-
Whatever.
Sorry, that got me way too
They're
good.
all gonna put 3 thumbs up, and Cedric's gonna come out and attack MJF, and then they're all gonna have a smirk on their face, and that's
and
gonna be
then
the
we're
thing.
back at stage.
We're gonna be
1.
back to he's our scumbag, so it's
No, we won't.
completely
No, we won't.
backwards.
They're gonna
Yes,
do it,
they
and the
are.
crowd's still gonna.
Are you suggesting that Bobby Lashley doesn't hang 10, he hangs 11? Is that what you're suggesting?
King T005 says, guys, I'm telling you, Joe is winning. Big claim to make.
Okay.
Name which I guess is a swear word as it's automatically been censored. Says he won't, but he should in terms of who's
Or
winning.
maybe it is just star.
You missed the star. But number 1 says Bobby Lashley can only let MJF in as MJF shaves his hair and gives it to Lashley to wear as a wig. Oh god.
Toupee.
He numero 2 play. He said that same exact comment.
He said it for 4 weeks now. There's more story continuation with
this.
numero 1's comments than there is with this storyline.
It's just several stars, no swear words. Yes, that's awesome.
It's just,
Stand
I knew it.
by.
I knew it. It's Dave Meltzer.
Profile name of the day. I gotta give you credit there.
How many stars is it?
I don't know.
Several stars. 1, 2, 3, 4,
8
5, 6,
stars.
8. Yeah.
He's tied with the Big Dipper.
It'd be 12 in the Tokyo Dome. Does anybody even get what they're building to other than Bobby versus MJF? Well, I think that's what we're going to find out next week. But probably Cedric.
I'm hoping that's what
but-
it is.
But that does lead us, guys, to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow to talk about our predictions for Backlash. Thank you to Clark. Thank you to Archie. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Beep.